One thing that completely shifted how I think about money is this. It's not really about math, it's about behavior. Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money taught me that financial success has less to do with intelligence and more to do with how you behave around money. And that realization hit me harder than I expected. I picked up The Psychology of Money expecting another finance book full of spreadsheets and investment strategies, but what I got instead was something far more valuable, a book about human nature. Morgan Housel doesn't fill pages with complex formulas or market predictions. Instead, he explores why smart people make terrible financial decisions, why we're all a little irrational with money, and how our personal experiences shape our relationship with wealth in ways we don't even realize. What really struck me was Housel's central premise. Doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave. And behavior is hard to teach, even to really smart people. This book is a collection of short stories and observations, 19 short chapters, each exploring a different aspect of how we think about money, risk, greed, and happiness. It's not prescriptive. Housel isn't telling you exactly what to do. He's showing you how to think, and honestly, that's so much more powerful. One of the ideas I found most fascinating is what Housel calls the man in the car paradox. We think people will admire us if we drive a fancy car or wear expensive clothes, but the truth is, when someone sees you in a Lamborghini, they're not thinking about you. They're imagining themselves in that car. I loved this because it strips away the illusion that wealth is about signaling status. Real wealth, Housel argues, is what you don't see. It's the financial freedom you've built quietly in the background, not the things you buy to impress others. Another concept that really resonated with me is the power of compounding, not just in terms of money, but in terms of time and patience. Morgan Housel uses Warren Buffett as an example. Most people know Buffett is wealthy, but what they don't realize is that over 90% of his wealth was accumulated after his 60th birthday. It's not that he became a better investor late in life. It's that he started early and let compounding do its magic over decades. The takeaway I got from this: time is your biggest asset, and staying in the game long enough is often more important than being brilliant. Housel also dives into the idea of enough. He tells stories of people who had everything, wealth, success, respect, but lost it all because they couldn't stop reaching for more. I found this both sobering and liberating. The hardest financial skill, he writes, is getting the goalpost to stop moving. There will always be someone richer, someone with a bigger house or a better investment. But if you never define what enough looks like for you, you'll spend your whole life chasing an impossible target. What struck me most, though, is how Housel talks about risk and luck. He argues that we attribute too much of our success to skill and too much of others' failure to poor decisions, when really, luck and risk are two sides of the same coin. Someone who made a fortune in tech stocks in the 90s wasn't necessarily smarter. They might have just been lucky. And someone who lost everything might not have been reckless. They might have just been unlucky. This idea made me more humble about my own financial wins and more compassionate about others' losses. This book has genuinely changed how I approach my everyday financial decisions. I'm less focused on trying to optimize every dollar and more focused on behaviors that I can actually sustain, saving consistently, avoiding unnecessary risks, and defining what enough means for me personally. Housel's lessons have made me realize that building wealth isn't about being the smartest person in the room or timing the market perfectly. It's about controlling your ego, being patient, and recognizing that financial success is deeply personal. What works for someone else might not work for you, and that's okay. If you're someone who's ever felt anxious about money, or if you've wondered why you make certain financial choices that don't seem rational, this book will give you clarity. It won't give you a step-by-step plan, but it will give you a framework for thinking about money in a healthier, more grounded way. And honestly, that's worth more than any investment tip. This book reminded me that wealth isn't a finish line. it's a mindset. If this message hit home for you, take a moment to reflect on what enough really means in your own life. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What lesson from the psychology of money stayed with you the most? If you enjoyed this breakdown, give this video a like and subscribe, and share your own takeaway from the psychology of money in the comments below. Thanks for watching.